So for all my friends that follow the channel and support the channel, they know that my GS1100E is a bike I've had since it was brand new. I'll never sell it. It's got just under 80,000 miles on it. I've had it as two separate bikes, the West Cooley bike and the one with the traditional paintwork from 1982. It's been an evil twin. It's had many modifications. I have a spare parts bike. I actually have a spare pretty much everything. And I have enjoyed this bike since the day it was new. It seems to me that every day I ride it, I enjoy it just as much as the day it was brand new. And it left Westwood Suzuki, and I left with a smile on my face. And you know what? Here we are all these years later, and I'm still smiling. And you can join me on this ride in 4K. Adjust your device. But we have been very lucky this summer, getting a lot of quality rides, good rides. It's been really hot. We've worked around a lot of rain. Today promises to be the best of all worlds. It's not even supposed to get to 90 degrees by lunchtime, but we're going to get out on the open road. Now, every time I go for a ride on a bike, and I guess I'm not that unusual, I start thinking of something that, and I never know what it is ahead of time. I can't make a plan ahead of time to either think about good things or bad things or whatever. But today, for some reason, I don't know why, I was getting the bike ready, doing the pre-flight, and start dreaming about those trips to Lake George in the 80s, the early 80s, and how much fun that was, and how great it was to have these giant windows of time, 2-3 days in a row, to have friends that we could stay at their place, and for no money, of course. But what made it really special was this bike. And this bike being so comfortable on a long ride like that, and then to go around that area, the area around Lake George is just to die for. It's just beautiful. And of course I get all the chores done on a farm, and I am in a hurry to get out. I am just thinking about pretending going to Lake George. And thinking back to when I was a younger guy in the early 80s and always had a pocket full of change that I could spend along the way, I would plan these weekend trips. I never gave thought to the fact that there'll be a time in my life when I won't have that much time available. Well, I had many years of going on weekend trips and many things that I enjoyed along the way of growing up. But I'm a senior citizen now, and my time windows are, well, sometimes 4 hours, mostly 3 hours a day for right now. Whether you have 3 hours or 3 weeks to spend in a saddle, this bike just never disappoints. Hey, there goes a guy that's got the whole weekend free. Sometimes you sit on a bike in a dealer's showroom and it's comfortable, but you go out on a 3 or 4 hour ride, and by the end of the day, out 6 hours, by the end of the day you're uncomfortable. Well, not this bike. And some of the more focused bikes, the modern bikes, they do one thing really well, maybe two things, and they trade away the comfort, or they trade away the ergonomics, or they trade away tire life or engine life or something. But this bike, I don't know how Suzuki did this. They seem to get everything 90% right. And they seem, after 80,000 miles, not many things of this bike have worn out. And it's just as much fun now as it was back in 1982. Exactly as much fun. And every time I post a GS video, I get comments, and sad comments from people say, wow, they're sorry they sold it. They wish they could get it back. Sometimes I make a list in my mind of things I sold I wish I could get back. Wish I could get back a lot of the cars I sold for almost no money, and some of the bikes. Maybe a lot of the bikes. And in our area of the country, you can see Bambi crossing the street here, and it happens suddenly. You almost don't see it coming. Well, it looks like I escaped this encounter. Now, we always encounter something crazy on almost every ride. We've got giant turtles crossing the road, and snakes. There were black snakes up by Harriman Park. You'd see them crossing the road. But that deer, it looks like it wasn't that close. That was too close for me. A lot too close. Now, I remember the day that the late Bob Navola and I were riding his brand new Honda. It was the day he got it. It was 1 day old, the first day. And we came around the hairpin on Arden Drive, and there were two baby bears in the road, and he went right in between them. I had the camera on right behind him, and I thought, Bob, there has to be a mother bear here somewhere. And then I thought, I don't know. Maybe that was really both of our lucky days. There's so many things you never forget in life, and the day I picked this bike up from Westwood Suzuki, I really felt like I just inherited $1 million. And for me, the fact I kept this bike pretty much stock for the whole 80,000 miles, it probably contributed to the 80,000 miles. But it's still just a great bike to go through the gears on. Now, I really enjoy the back roads in this area of the riding area that we have, and I love the back roads more than anything. And this bike seems to handle it pretty well. That suspension is still in pretty decent shape after almost 80,000 miles. Now, back in the early 80s, they hadn't invented GoPro cameras yet, or YouTube, or video cameras. But I don't have any pictures of those days, but boy, if I did, would it be great to relive some of those rides. And some of those, I just can't even imagine. When you have 3 or 4 days with no place to go and a bike that's comfortable to ride, and you can just go exploring down back roads, the lakes up in that area, all the little back roads. I know several of my friends still do have that amount of time to spend. I'm jealous of you guys. I'm jealous of every one of you. And boy, I really wish I had a GoPro camera back then. Now, I love all the modern bikes in my collection with all the safety features, but there is just something about this bike, you jump on it and you want to go on a really, really long ride. Well, in my case, I'm going to be 79. And I look back at my life and I know I made a lot of mistakes, sold a lot of things that I shouldn't have sold, and I regret it, of course, but I can't get them back in any reasonable way. But it makes me treasure this bike even more. And if anybody out there can appreciate, if you have something like a GS or something that you really, really love, and you can possibly avoid selling it to pay the rent or pay for the bar bill, it is really the only advice I could ever give younger people is don't sell the things you love, because the day you go to get them back, you find out they're not available or they're so overpriced or something. And that is the lesson of the day. And I got to get back to the farm and see what Karen's doing at the farm. So it's good to be back on the farm. Karen's going to come out here and pick some, we still have a few tomatoes left. We still have a few veggies anyway. I don't know what she's going to do back there, but she's got something planned, I know that. And it'll be really, really nice, I know. There'll be a time when we're done with the farm for the year and getting out the winter riding gear. But we really did have a super, super enjoyable ride today. I hope you enjoyed sharing it with us. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button if you did, and thank you so much for watching.